I'm not sure if I even got any sleep that night, because the next thing I remember is Tygan calling me from the research lab. Apparently he and his assistants had finished optimizing the Avenger for a new infirmary. It was just a matter of clearing some space and ordering Lily to start the construction. As an added bonus, he'd also assigned one of his assistants to a side project, disassembling one of those Advent mechs we had encountered in the field. He was quick to admit he didn't really know anything about electronics, but he'd already taken the liberty of forwarding his findings to Lily Shen. Apparently she could use it to improve the design of her gremlin drones. I thanked Tygan for letting me know, but he stayed on the line, awkwardly fidgeting until I asked him what else was on his mind. Unsurprisingly, he was keenly interested in figuring out how our new allies, the Templars, did what they did. He correctly assumed I wasn't going to let him dissect Henrik, instead pitching a more roundabout method of replicating the alien's psionic powers. It was an interesting idea, and it was nice to see that he was learning not to dissect our allies, so I gave him the go-ahead to get started on it. I didn't really feel like trying to get back to sleep, so instead I took a quick walk around the Avenger, and to my surprise I stumbled onto a new batch of recruits. I'm not sure exactly when they showed up, but it was nice to know that even with the loss of Squatty Cazador, we wouldn't be short on manpower. Steve Badger seemed normal enough, if a bit overly enthusiastic, and John Morgan seemed like a rather well-disciplined recruit of proper military bearings. But Naz Odeon? Well, I guess there was always going to be at least one oddball, but it's not like we could afford to turn away willing recruits. Afterwards, I headed up to the bridge to see what I had missed. Bradford grimly informed me that my girlfriend's efforts to shut down the black market had finally gotten results. The organization had temporarily gone underground to avoid any further scrutiny from the Chosen. But on the bright side, Karn and Elizabeth Wilson had just returned from their covert assignment. I'll admit I was curious to find out how things had gone at the Advent facility. What had they learned about the Avatar project? Was it really as dire as Bradford and the spokesman were making it out to be? Well, I would just have to keep wondering, because apparently Karn and Elizabeth had forgone intelligence gathering in favor of just burning the place to the ground. I decided our next covert op would be something a bit simpler, more by the book. The skirmishers had tipped us off to a supply stash, so I asked Greenguard and Rhino to look into it. And once again, it was time for our monthly performance review, courtesy of the spokesman. We were still making decent progress, though as always he warned me about continuing to let the Avatar project grow unchecked. Bradford piled on top of that dire warning with a few of his own, warning me that Dawnslayer was cracking down on another one of our resistance cells, and Mordena was apparently planning to infiltrate the Avenger. It was nice to know she was still interested in meeting me in person. Advent was still preparing their new batch of propaganda broadcasts, but they were also heightening their security protocols around the world, and the Chosen were apparently starting to network with each other to accelerate their investigation into our activities. It was one piece of bad news after another, with the only reprieve being a surprisingly brief word from Geist about how the Templars were setting up some sort of psychic feedback field to help protect our field operatives. I have no idea what that meant, but it sounded good. I would have asked for more details, but I was afraid that if Geist started talking again, he'd never stop. I left the bridge under Bradford's command, and of course he immediately ordered the Greyshirts to set course for our latest supply drop. Heading down into the bowels of the Avenger, I checked in with Lily, discovering that they had apparently just started retrofitting an alien power core that they hoped would solve our current power shortages. It sounded like they had things well in hand, so I left them to it. And after that, well, I found myself just killing time, and I finally came to the realization that I was deliberately dragging my feet. Was I having second thoughts about investigating the Advent Black site? Maybe I was worried that it would irrevocably damage my relationship with Mordena. We had enjoyed our game of alien cat and Terran mouse so far, but there were implied lines that neither of us were meant to cross, and this really felt like one of them. But then again, as the commander of XCOM, could I really just ignore a potential threat to all of humanity? I reluctantly decided it wouldn't hurt to just take a quick peek at the facility. In and out, quick and quiet. Mordena would never even know we'd been there, and I would finally know what to think about this mysterious Avatar project. This job called for discretion and professionalism, so I tapped our most experienced operatives for the job. Mox and Dragonova were shoo-ins for the team, of course, and Dragonova insisted that I include Altex as well. Apparently the two of them had forged something of a tight-knit relationship. I also decided to send Phoenix along, just in case they needed a proper medic. And if things really hit the fan, then they'd need a proper psychopath to help them shoot their way back out. So, Karn, despite my reservations, filled the last seat on the Sky Ranger. Bradford could sense my reluctance, and he reassured me that I was doing the right thing. He dubbed this Operation Spectral Crone, an obvious jab at my long-distance girlfriend. But I let it slide. I really just wanted this all to be over with. One way or another, we were going to get some answers.
Our contacts in the local resistance have shown us how to access the Advent Black Site. The aliens worked hard to keep this place under the radar, and we don't know what we're gonna find in there. Keep your heads up. Expect heavy opposition. Confirm the Black Site is in your immediate vicinity. Infiltrate and investigate the area. Expect heavy resistance. Neutralize all hostile contacts.
Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Episode 8. Today we're taking on one of the big story missions, the Advent Black Site. Those of you who've already played XCOM 2 should be pretty familiar with this mission. It's a pretty big map. We need to work our way across while avoiding or killing patrols, and then once we reach the Black Site facility, we have to retrieve a mysterious tube of gunk, and then reach the emergency evac zone. But this is my first time playing this mission with the War of the Chosen expansion installed, so they might have one or two surprises in store for us. Now, obviously, my first plan is to approach this building here in front of us and get up on the rooftop. I love rooftops.
Who knows how long they've been keeping these storage units running down here.
That'll provide us with a great vantage point of the main facility itself, and it'll provide a great elevated perch for Karn to provide cover fire from.
A long approach. Roger that.
In most of our normal missions, we end up facing 3, maybe even 4 enemy pods. But in a major story mission like this, I wouldn't be surprised if we run into at least twice as many pods, 6 to 8 of them. And of course, we're going to be running into at least a couple of Advent turrets. Knowing that there are going to be turrets on this map actually makes climbing onto the roof a little risky, because there could be a turret up there, and it might just be in a position where it will instantly spot us as we get to the top of this ladder. There's not a whole lot I can do about that, but I am at least going to consolidate the squad around the ladder so we can all get onto the roof in one turn, just in case things hit the fan.
Position confirmed. Affirmative. Moving out. Heading to that location.
My watch begins.
Scanning. Got it covered.
Roger, I've got my eyes on.
I've got movement. Heads up.
Alright, there's our first signs of a roving enemy pod. No visual yet, though. Hopefully that's not coming from the roof. Well, no sense in delaying. Let's get up there and see what happens.
I am at your service.
Okay, it looks clear. Let's move over the edge of the building and see if we can spot anything else.
I will reposition. There is nowhere to hide.
Okay, so a turret and an Advent pod. Not so bad, really. The turret can be taken out easily enough because of its awkward position, and that pod only has a mech and a trooper, which I can dispatch pretty easily with this battle-hardened crew. More importantly, because I know where the enemies are positioned, I can now safely move up the rest of the squad without having to worry about being spotted by unseen enemies.
I advance. On it. Got it.
Alright, well that Advent pod is still in pretty clear line of sight, so I think this might be a good time to go ahead and start things. We have an advantageous position, and once we kill these guys, other pods will start slowly gravitating towards us, so we'll be in an ideal position to pick them off as well. I think we'll let Altex do the honors. Nice.
By the numbers. They found us.
As I expected, the Advent mech stayed out in the open. Those guys don't gain benefits from cover, so they don't generally run for cover when you scatter their pod like that. That means I can pick them off at my leisure. Not quite enough damage to finish them off, but that's fine. I've still got 3 soldiers who haven't gone yet.
Heading out.
Alright, that wipes that Advent pod off the field. That leaves us with this turret to deal with, but it literally can't see us, so it's a lower priority. We'll take care of it next turn.
On your order. On overwatch.
No one will cross.
Mordena.
New world awaits me.
Well, I suppose I should have seen this coming. Mordena's a little tougher than last time we faced off against her. She's got the ability to summon stun lancers in battle now. But since we brought Dragonova along, I really don't think we're going to have much of a problem here.
We just picked up the Chosen Assassin's energy signature. She's moving on the squad's position, Commander.
Alright, well, first things first, we're going to take out this turret.
Hit the armor. On your order. X-ray neutralized.
There we go, that's one less threat to worry about. And now we're just going to consolidate our position on the rooftop here.
As ordered.
You are perhaps the lowliest of all the wretched creatures inhabiting this world. Look on your death today as an act of kindness on my part.
It's going to take Mordena at least 3 or 4 turns to reach us, so that'll give us ample time to pick good sniper perches and reload our weapons, and we'll be ready for her when she shows up.
Good to go.
Okay, now, since Dragonova is our secret weapon against Mordena, we want to keep her a little separated from the rest of the troops. She's still under cover, and it's a lot easier to catch Mordena off guard if we keep her under cover. We know that once Mordena's close enough to strike, the first thing she's going to do is rush us under cover of invisibility and stab someone through the torso.
The hunt is on.
There's pretty much nothing we can do to stop her from getting that first strike in, but once she's revealed her position, we can see where she runs off to, and then hopefully we'll be able to immediately take her out. Alright, at this point we're pretty much ready. We're just passing turns till she shows up.
My turn on watch.
Ah, there she is. And here she comes. Ah, my medic? Really?
You will join your compatriots soon enough. The Elders had expected you would eventually intrude into this facility. Perhaps it is time you learn the truth. Forget what you see this day, and press forward no more. No good can come from this.
We've got the Chosen right where we want them. It's time to strike.
At my disposal are endless.
I almost feel sorry for that stun lancer. Summoned into battle in the worst possible starting position. Also, guys, what's the deal? You had like 20 seconds to shoot her while she was monologuing. Come on.
As they serve, without question or regret.
Soldier down. Get him back up ASAP.
Okay, let's get Dragonova down there. Hopefully she can get a visual and we can lob a claymore into position.
Moving as ordered. I'll leave this here.
Now, of course, Dragonova had to move, so she can't set off her own claymore, but I think we'll have her good buddy Altex take care of that.
Absolutely.
And since Mordena's weak against explosives, we'll hedge our bets by setting off the claymore with a frag grenade. Well, that was easy. Bye, Mordena.
At one time, it would have been unthinkable that I might ever fall in battle. Now, it appears you have bested me once again.
We showed the Chosen that the Resistance is here to stay, Commander. Now we just have to find that thing and put it down for good.
Now, Bradford. Let's curb the bloodlust for the moment.
Order confirmed. Come get some.
Since there are no timers on this mission, we can afford to spend a turn just, regathering our wits. Phoenix is a little beat up, so we'll burn off one of the many charges in his medkit to heal him back up. And now we'll start slowly advancing towards the compound.
On my way. Advent has expanded their rail network to touch every city center they've built. And this looks like the end of the line, at least for this area.
Actually, since Dragonova's still under stealth, I need to remember to always lead with her. That way she can spot enemy pods for us and we can react accordingly.
Moving out. I am trusting you.
Speaking of which, there's our second enemy pod, 2 Vipers and a Muton. We definitely don't want to trigger those guys prematurely, so let's move everybody else a little conservatively here.
I will move. On the move.
And we'll get everyone set on Overwatch, just in case they wander in this direction. Whoops, and Karn got a little overzealous there. But you know what? That's fine. We were going to have to take these guys out anyway.
That armor's tough.
Okay, let's check our relative positioning here and see what we can do. no justice. That's a shame. Well, we don't have much in the way of good shot percentages or firing angles, so I think we're going to have to start things off with Dragonova. She's actually already in a flanking position. One more shot will finish off that Viper, so I think this is time for us to finally use that bond system. I'm going to go ahead and shuffle Altex a little closer to her, and then
Not a problem.
he's going to give her his second action.
Keep going.
And then she'll immediately use that action to finish off the Viper.
One of many. My ammunition is nearly depleted. We can no longer hide.
But that still leaves us with another Viper and a Muton on the field. I'd rather not leave things to chance, so I think we're going to hedge our bets here. And lob a grenade over there to take out that second Viper's cover.
Moving to position. Catch.
There we go. Blood for the Blood God time. Well, not a kill, but still a hit.
Right on the mark.
Sort of. We've still got Mox, and he can take up to 3 attacks in a single round, so let's see what he can do about this. I want to be ready for when that Muton tries to get closer, so this might be an ideal situation for Whiplash. That gives me a free ranged attack action, but I can only use it once per battle. So I think we need to spend one of Mox's actions getting a little closer before we risk using it. Not much better, but let's go for it. Nicely done. And that leaves him with one more action, so, of course, we'll toss him on Overwatch.
I am watching.
And here comes the Muton. And there goes the Muton. Alright, that finishes off our second Advent pod, so again, we'll continue creeping closer to the facility.
I stalk my prey. I go where I'm needed. As you order, Commander.
Well, it looks pretty clear. I'll admit I was expecting a lot more enemies on this mission.
Heading out.
Hold on, are those?
Bodies. The containers, the trains. This entire facility. The aliens are still abducting people. From the looks of it, they may never have stopped after the invasion.
Those containers look like they have self-contained power cells. It could be some kind of stasis system. It's possible at least some of those people might still be alive.
Okay, well, we triggered another turret. We'll start off by seeing if Karn can soften it up with his sniper rifle. Circuits for the Blood God? Well, nice to know that the Blood God doesn't discriminate against machines. Now let's see if Phoenix or Mox can finish it off.
On your order.
And there we go, crisis averted.
Hostile terminated. Come get some. No trespassers.
Whoops. I hope there was no one important in that tube. At this point, I just need to get Dragonova close enough that she can take a peek inside the facility. We've only taken out 2 enemy pods and 2 turrets so far, so there's got to be more enemies on the field somewhere.
I must reload.
This also gives us a precious moment to reload all of our guns and reconsolidate the squad. We don't want to leave Karn too far behind.
Already there. Heading out. Absolutely.
Reloading ammunition.
Ready to engage. Rock and roll.
Okay, well, that was obviously the sound of a pneumatic door, so there's definitely a pod moving around in there somewhere.
My life is in your hands.
Okay, well, no sign of enemies on this side of the building. Oh, but there is another door, so let's move some people up to that other entrance, and we'll check there too. In fact, I think it may be advantageous to get someone up near that skylight too. I think that's where we'll have Dragonova head next turn.
Rolling out. On the move. Affirmative. Come get
Action
them.
comes naturally. They lack subtlety.
Alright, Dragonova, let's get you up on the roof, and we'll have to keep an eye out for turrets up here too.
Volk says
The last thing we want to do is accidentally blow her stealth right in front of a turret.
The invaders send a patrol. You cannot run.
So many victims. Processed with such brutal efficiency. Test subjects for some sort of weapon, perhaps.
Looks more like a refinery to me, Doctor.
Once we get our hands on that sample, we'll know for sure.
Okay, so there's enemy pod number 3, 2 troopers and a mech. Nothing too serious. I think for now we're going to have Dragonova hold position on the roof, and we're going to move the rest of the squad up to that secondary entrance and set them up to ambush next turn.
Got it covered.
Moving quickly.
Already there. Double time.
Reapers are always vigilant. I will always find you.
Now we are going to attack them this turn, but we don't want to open this door yet. We'll start things off with Dragonova, and because they can't see the rest of the squad, they may end up scattering closer and leaving themselves in exposed positions. Unfortunately, Dragonova's rifle is pretty weak, so we're just going to pick off one of those troopers.
The only fate possible for aliens.
Nice, still under stealth. Now let's see where these guys go. Excellent, they both put themselves in compromised positions, so let's get in there and take them out. One down, but...
What did you expect?
Whoops, okay, well, there's pod number 4. Looks like a Viper, another mech, and another trooper. No way I can take them all out in a single turn. And unfortunately, I still can't use Justice. That's profoundly disappointing. Well, let's use Lightning Hands to soften up that mech a little bit. And now we'll finish it off with some real attacks.
It did not strike the flesh.
Well, that's even more disappointing, but let's see what we can do here. We still have Karn and Phoenix. Okay, so we've got the mech off the field. There's some loot there, and a full enemy pod on the far side of the room. Let's bring Phoenix up and see if we can help Altex out. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's even getting cover benefits from that console. He's not crouching or anything. Well, let's play it safe. We'll go ahead and toss an aid protocol on him.
I know where you are.
And it didn't matter anyway. Well, at the very least, that Viper put itself in an exposed position, so I'll be able to take care of it pretty quickly.
I'm pinned down here! I'm under fire!
Okay, that wasn't so bad. Let's start off by knocking that Viper off Altex.
We are known to them.
Now, Altex can blade rush someone. He can't take the mech out in one shot, but he's got a pretty good chance of dropping that advanced trooper. But before we put him in a potentially exposed position, let's make sure that we're going to be able to take out both the Viper and the mech.
Yes, Commander.
That advanced hair trigger and agility implant will come in handy.
I have it.
Ooh, I can finally dispense some justice. Sorry, Altex. Mox has got this one.
The choice is made.
Okay, well, it didn't kill him, but it did stun him for 2 rounds, so he's basically neutralized. I can finish him off at my leisure. Now let's have Karn finish off the Viper. Blood for the Blood God, and so forth.
Target eliminated.
Now let's just soften up that mech a bit with some rifle fire, and then Altex can finish it off with a blade rush.
Moving to position. You heard the doctor. Secure that canister. That armor's tough.
Well, that pretty much takes care of Advent Pod number 4, so let's start moving towards that vial,
It's growing.
reloading our guns, and I guess if it's not too much trouble, someone can finish off that last trooper for us.
Heading out. On my way. I'm on it.
It's cool. Karn's got it. Doesn't even need the Blood God for this one.
Hostile target down. Back in.
Volk says I am to obey. Reloading.
Now, the second I pick up this vial, I know it's going to trigger enemy reinforcements, so we're going to hold off until everyone else is closer. We want to consolidate our position, make sure our guns are ready. That way we can cut down the reinforcements the second they show up. The evac zone is over there. So most likely when the reinforcements come in, they're going to be between us and the evac zone. Let's get everyone over near this window so that we're ready for it.
Stepping off. Will do.
There could still be one or two turrets up here, so I guess I should be careful where I move Dragonova.
Moving as ordered.
Affirmative. Covering now.
Alright, and I think we're pretty much ready. In fact, let's go ahead and make ourselves a slightly more convenient exit while we're at it.
It will be strong.
Locked and loaded. On the move. On the move.
As you order, Commander. I am on watch.
I'm on it. Affirmative. Covering now.
Okay, we've put it off long enough. Let's do it to it.
Item in tow.
And there's the reinforcements.
There are more coming.
Guessing that's not water in there. Shen, any readings?
No signs of radioactivity, no significant energy signatures of any kind. Whatever it is, it's safe to handle.
We've confirmed acquisition of the sample. Move to rendezvous at the extraction point.
We know where the reinforcements are coming in now, so let's go ahead and get our guys into position to gun them down once they've arrived.
Trusting you.
As you command.
Moving to position. Sure thing. Head now. I'm on it. On Overwatch.
I'll keep an eye on
Got
it.
it covered.
I stand ready.
And here they come. Looks like a trooper, a lancer, and a purifier.
No place for you to go now. Return to your gods.
Okay, well, clearly I should have gotten more Overwatch fire there. Well, apparently we just really wanted that trooper to be dead, so we made extra sure.
Close here.
Okay, well, no big deal. I think Mox can
Repositioning.
handle this for us easily. And that takes care of the Lancer. And that's a solid hit to the Purifier. No kill, though. But we've still got 4 more soldiers to pick up the slack. Let's go for a Skull. Skull for the Skull Throne. And it's all clear. That takes care of pod number 5. Should be smooth sailing from here. Though I will admit, that's less enemies than I was expecting overall.
Got it.
I'll be swift.
10-4. Will do.
Oh, looks like I spoke too soon. We've got pod number 6 incoming. Well, I'm certainly not going to turn down a chance for some quick and easy XP and some possible loot drops, so let's set our guys up around the drop zone to take these guys out as well. Then we'll evac.
On your order.
I am at your service.
I will go. Attacking on site.
Got it covered. Moving to Overwatch.
I'll watch closely.
And this time we're dealing with a shield bearer and 2 troopers.
You can never soldiers loiter carelessly.
Yeah, something's clearly gone wrong with the Overwatch mechanic. They're not supposed to all just unload into a single target like that, especially not after it's already dead. But it's fine. There's only 2 enemies left on the field. We should have no problem finishing them off. Let's take out the shield bearer first. And follow up by taking out the trooper. He didn't even try to get undercover.
Reloading weapon.
Well, he survived with 1 hit point remaining, but that's cool. It gives Karn someone to kill on his way back to the Sky Ranger.
On your order. X-ray neutralized.
And let's just go ahead and start pulling everyone else out, too.
I'm on it. I'm gone.
Moving out. This day is done.
On my way.
I move.
I'm out of
Avenger,
here.
this is Firebrand. Package is secure.
Returning for reassignment.
All XCOM operatives are secure. Firebrand is returning to base.
Mission accomplished, Commander. We just hit Advent where it hurts. This was a place no living human being was ever intended to see. Happy as I am to see it gone, something tells me the aliens won't take this lying down.
Well, 6 pods, 2 turrets, and a Chosen. Like I said, less opposition than I was expecting. Guess I shouldn't complain, though. I'll just take the win and move on.
I would like to assure the citizens of Advent that our peacekeepers will stop at nothing to prevent further attacks by criminal elements such as the one that occurred today. The Elders have total faith in our ability to overcome any and all threats to our peace.
At least we know these Chosen can be killed. Well, temporarily.
Huh. Only 2 promotions. That's a little disappointing. Well, let's see what we're working with here. Now, Death from Above is by no means a bad perk. It's just a little too situational for my likings. I think we're going to stick with Quick Draw. Besides, I think Karn likes it up close and personal. And Dragonova... She's actually got enough action points to pick up 2 abilities. Silent Killer reduces the chance of her breaking stealth when she's firing her rifle. That's cool. Distraction doesn't really match the way I use her claymore, so moving on. Needle could be useful, but again, I think it's too situational. Yeah, I don't really care much for either of those perks. And Tactical Rigging provides her with a utility slot. It's actually pretty interesting. From what I've seen, she's the only class who doesn't seem to get any utility slots at all, so that might be nice. And then her older abilities are... Okay, well, we definitely want stronger claymores. That's a no-brainer. And with her remaining points... I'm sorely tempted to pick up tactical rigging, but I think she might be better off with that stealth ability. Yeah, let's go ahead and pick up Silent Killer. Alright, all in all, a pretty solid run.
Now that we've recovered the apparent product of the Black Site facility, I imagine it will take considerable time and resources to uncover the true purpose of this substance. I will begin preparations for a complete analysis immediately, Commander.
So, Operation Spectral Crone. Well, maybe it wasn't what it looked like. Maybe it was just... Well, maybe... Mordena and I needed to have a talk.